Good morning, and please be seated. Dr. Nancy Smith, Professor and Dean of the School of Social Work, will officially open the ceremony.
Thank you. Provost Sikorsky, distinguished guests, the graduates, the candidates for the degrees, the most important people, the faculty, the staff, and the families and friends of the graduates and candidates are assembled. I hereby declare this commencement of the University of Buffalo School of Social Work to be open.
If you are able, please rise for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wrangler, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
It's my pleasure to introduce the University of Buffalo Provost, my boss, everyone has a boss, Provost Charles Sikorsky. This year's distinguished guest speaker, Andrea O'Sullivan, I think I just massacred it, sorry, UB and School Administration Leadership, the faculty, PhD graduates, the class of 2019, Graduate Student Association officers, and representatives from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, the School of Public Health and Health Professions, the School of Management, Law School, and the UB Alumni Association. It's with great pleasure that I introduce Dr. Charles Sikorsky, who is this year's degree conferrer and the University of Buffalo's distinguished provost. Provost Sikorsky will make a few brief comments.
Well, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning for the 2019 School of Social Work commencement. I'm thrilled to be here today with you, our graduates, your families, friends, university community, to celebrate the students' exceptional achievements to date and eagerly anticipate all that you will accomplish in the future. Note the expectation there. As one of the nation's leading public research universities, UB has a mission of creating new knowledge and communicating this knowledge to students. We take seriously our responsibility to improve the human condition through our scholarship, clinical care, and our engagement with our communities. Graduates, you have earned a degree that certifies that UB believes you are prepared to be professionals, leaders, researchers, and engaged citizens. At UB, you have been partners in the process of seeking and using knowledge to build a better world. You have learned from the most respected thought leaders and practitioners in social work who have designed your degree programs to prepare you for future success. You have developed deep domain knowledge in the field of social work by working within a vibrant and diverse community of scholars, educators, and practitioners. Your knowledge has been enriched by trauma-informed human rights and social innovation perspectives that lend context to how individuals and social structures develop. You have taken advantage of faculty-led and individual research opportunities offered by our top-ranked School of Social Work, and this research has helped shape the way that societies and universities understand and respond to community needs. You have improved people's lives in our local and international communities through field education that has allowed you to put your knowledge into practice. You have worked hard, gained exposure to ideas, culture, history, science, and technologies, and had meaningful interactions with your peers and professors. These are the experiences that shape your unique perspective and way of approaching the world. Through this distinctive combination of classroom, field learning, and out-of-class experiences, you have developed the creativity, empathy, leadership skills needed to succeed as practitioners, advocates, teachers, and thought leaders in the field of social work. You are graduating in an era of excitement and uncertainty, characterized by fast-paced technological changes, a strong and evolving knowledge-based economy, and an ever-changing political and social dynamic. You will likely see a number of social, economic, and technological changes in your lifetimes that will redefine professional roles and lead to unforeseeable opportunities. Your UB education has prepared you to be flexible and responsive to the shifting trends and needs, meet challenges head-on, be lifelong learners, and to take advantage of all the opportunities that will come your way. These are the attributes that will assure your success in the future, no matter what it may bring. Each of you has the capacity to change the world, and I urge you to take what you have learned and to apply it to the betterment of society. My sincere and heartfelt congratulations to our 2019 University at Buffalo School of Social Work graduates. We are so proud of you and all that you have achieved. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of you, to the graduates, and to the family and friends, the people who've supported you and helped you get here. I don't think any of us does anything alone, and having the support of those folks makes a huge difference. So thank you. Please, a little bit of applause for the family and friends. Graduates, you are all about to enter the profession of social work, and I want to take a few moments just to reflect on what that means in a slightly different way than how we teach it. When I talk to alumni who aren't working in social work profession sort of settings, they often apologize and say, "I'm sorry, I'm not working as a social worker." And yet if I ask them, "Are you using your social work skills?" without fail, doesn't matter what they're doing, they respond with an emphatic yes. Being social worker is not just your job title. I believe it's how you see, understand, and relate to the world. At this point, it's who you are. It's understanding the importance of relationships and the value of empathy. If we had more of those things, that understanding, I think we'd be living in a different world. It's having respect for all people and their human rights. It's knowing the importance of working with others so that they can be empowered to take on action on the situations that affect them. It's being able to collaborate with diverse groups of people. It's understanding the importance of context, elements like cultural history, traditions, life experiences, including trauma, family, organizations, communities, the built and the natural environment, and social policies. It's being problem solvers, or as Professor Krauss might say, better, solution developers, whether that's to promote individual healing, collective action, or to legislate new policies. Many of the problems that our society faces have been around for hundreds and thousands of years, and yet other problems are new ones, such as how to live with digital technologies in a way that support human relationships and human rights. Imagine for a moment, if we had social workers in high places in Facebook, would Facebook be looking at the kinds of violations and policies that they've done? I don't think so. You have challenges ahead that we, your faculty, are only just imagining now. For example, what will it look like as social workers learn to partner with robots? I used to think that was far off. I don't think so anymore. No matter what you do, whether you work in human services organizations or in other settings, know that you bring values, skills, and perspectives that are needed everywhere. I have yet to see a setting that I didn't think could benefit from having a social worker. So as you go forward, please know that we, the faculty and staff, want to know what you do with what you've learned, what you do with who you are, because as you do that, you teach us about ourselves. Know that we're passionate about you, who you are, what you know, what you've already done, and now what you're able to do and what you will do. Again, no expectation there. Welcome to the profession of social work.
Provost Sikorsky, Dean Smith, honored guests, faculty, staff, members of the graduating class, your friends and family, it is my pleasure to introduce this year's commencement speaker, Andrea O'Sullivan. Andrea O'Sullivan is Executive Director at Partnership for the Public Good, a community-based think tank with 290 partner organizations from across Buffalo, Niagara. She leads PPG's work on criminal justice reform and community policing, immigrant rights, and language access policies. And prior to her role with the Partnership for the Public Good, Andrea was a research fellow at the International Peace Institute in New York, focused on bringing community voices to United Nations policymaking and increasing women's participation in peace talks. Her research on inclusive peacemaking helped to change United Nations policy and United States law, and has been cited by Foreign Policy, The Guardian, PBS, and more. Andrea has worked as a lawyer on refugee cases in the United States and Ireland, on ending the death penalty in the state of Indiana, and on peace building in countries from South Africa to Sri Lanka. She holds a Juris Doctor from New York University School of Law and a BA in Political Science and Peace Studies from the University of Notre Dame. Please join me in welcoming Andrea O'Sullivan.
Thank you to Provost Sikorsky, Vice Provost Granfield and Melvin, Dean Smith, and the Social Work Graduate Student Association for inviting me to join you this morning. I've just loved getting to know the School of Social Work and many of its students over the last 2 years, and it's really an honor to be with you. In a recent interview about my work with Buffalo Spree, I was asked a series of big, unexpected questions. What's your biggest fear? What's one talent you wish you had? What's your greatest achievement? This caught me by surprise. I really hadn't prepared to answer such startlingly deep questions in my early morning interview at Spot Coffee. I found myself replying that my greatest achievement was moving back home to Western New York. I explained that for me, this decision was the culmination of asking some important questions. And this morning, I want to share with you these questions and what I learned from them. 7 years ago, as a fresh graduate of NYU Law School, I landed a dream job, which you just heard a little bit about in that wonderfully generous bio, doing research and policy work at the International Peace Institute. This is an independent research center that's right at the heart of the United Nations community in New York and was founded in 1970. It was a place where many of my peace studies professors had previously published their papers and engaged with the UN in many projects. I would be able to use my recently conferred legal skills as well as my earlier peace studies degree. And when I look back now, it amazes me at how quickly I was swept into the world of international diplomacy. Within 3 months of starting that job, I was on a plane to Indonesia to help the government design and run a conference on peace and diplomacy. I knew before leaving that this conference was going to happen in the big Jakarta Convention Center, while a larger Pan-Asian summit was happening. But before arriving, what I didn't know was that the larger summit was a defense convention. Our conference was happening inside one small corner of a much larger military technology and arms trade fair. So when you stepped out of our panel sessions on peace and consensus, you stepped right into an enormous lobby filled with governments and companies exhibiting the latest in drones, rifles, jets, and much more. So I wondered, why were we, the International Peace Institute, asked to host a conference inside this event, and why had we agreed to do it? But asking those questions too often or too loudly could risk my place in this dream role where my years of academic hard work had brought me. And on many days, I was doing the work of a lifetime. I launched the Institute's first research on women's role in peace in its 40-year history, for which I met, interviewed, and supported some of the world's only female delegates to peace talks. I traveled to document the local knowledge of community peace builders in Africa and Asia, people building peace in the midst of conflict. I got to know and work with women and men building local peace networks in places like Syria, right at the height of civil war, people opting out of violence and holding their communities together. And throughout this time, my goal was to increase the influence and role of these local leaders in United Nations decision-making. Their work was often overlooked as the UN and other big outside institutions made their plans, allocated their budgets, and rolled out new programs in their countries. I would fly these women and men halfway across the world to speak on panels and present their work in New York. They would, of course, be well received and praised, featured in media reports and even tweets of many UN offices and ambassadors. But then they would fly home, and I would watch everyone go back to business as usual. I began to feel that this work, while deeply meaningful, was really serving as window dressing for an institution that was simply too big and too disconnected to truly listen and change. Those questions that had come up on my very first work trip to Indonesia began to echo in my mind and kept getting louder and louder. This ultimately led me to ask a big question that could have fit right in with my Buffalo Spree interview last week. What is success? Surely success was to keep climbing the ladder of this scene of high-level international work, build a career and life in Manhattan, and accumulate more and more air miles. But as I listened to the words of visionary local peace builders, I realized that success could be much closer to home. So 2 years ago, I returned to Western New York and joined Partnership for the Public Good, or PPG, a community-based think tank where we unite 295 very diverse and different community organizations who come together to build a more just, sustainable, and culturally vibrant Buffalo Niagara. And for 12 years, PPG has provided our partners with the research they need to turn their ideas into public policy on issues like affordable and healthy housing, police reform, workers' rights, environmental justice, and more. Our work is driven by what we call the community agenda. So each fall we invite our partners to participate in a democratic process where they pitch and ultimately vote for their top 10 priorities for local policy change. And that decides what do we focus on and work on in the coming year. For me, just as important as this tangible policy change is that we're redefining who has expertise and who we turn to for knowledge and ideas. PPG was designed around the very core principle that I had hoped and worked to bring into the UN, that communities, the groups and everyday people who make them up, know what's best and have their own solutions and wonderful creative ideas. Our local residents are the experts on the challenges we face, just as my local peace builder friends are in their communities. For me, what's important and inspiring about all this is that listening to everyday voices is how we begin to listen to our own. In my case, I heard my own voice redefine success and lead me to return home and work on local community change directly. So as you leave this wonderful home of the UB School of Social Work and head off to important work near and far, I urge you to always listen to your inner voice and listen to these questions. Find a place where you can hear yourself ask them. For me, it's always been important to get out of the office, get out of the city, usually walk between tall trees and hear these questions begin to emerge. And ask your questions more often and more loudly than I did, both of yourself and of institutions. And in the midst of this time of many questions for myself, I heard a poem by David White that captures all of this, and I'll share it with you now in closing, and it's called Sometimes. Sometimes if you move carefully through the forest, breathing like the ones in the old stories, who could cross a shimmering bed of dry leaves without a sound, you come to a place whose only task is to trouble you with tiny but frightening requests, conceived out of nowhere, but in this place, beginning to lead everywhere. Request to stop what you are doing right now and to stop who you are becoming while you do it. Questions that can make or unmake a life. Questions that have patiently waited for you. Questions that have no right to go away. So thank you very much, and congratulations to the wonderful graduates.
It is with pleasure that I introduce Michael Palazza, the president of this year's School of Social Work Graduate Student Association.
On behalf of the class of 2019, I would like to acknowledge and thank University Provost Charles Sikorsky, UB Senior Leadership Members, Dean Nancy Smith, MSW Director Diane Elzy, the distinguished faculty, and the dedicated staff of the University at Buffalo School of Social Work for all of their hard work and commitment to providing a quality education and training to all students. Lastly, thank you to all of the parents, friends, and mentors who have played a vital role in shaping us into the individuals we are today. On a personal note, I would like to thank my parents, my sister Sarah, my Aunt Jane and Uncle Dieter, and my close friends, Andrew, Nick, Sean, John, and Niall, for all being here today. Your support and encouragement means so much to me, and I appreciate you being here for me today on this special day. It's crazy to think that for many of us, this marks the end of our academic journey. A journey that for most of us may have started as 3-year-olds on our first day of preschool and continued on all the way to our master's degree. I miss the days when nap time was a mandatory part of our program, and I think we can all agree that this should be implemented in the MSW program today for self-care purposes. Looking across the room, each of us entered this program with our own personal stories and callings that led us to the field of social work. I believe it is a calling to enter a profession where we are able to touch the lives of so many on a personal level and to empower those to reach their full potential and be their best selves. The field of social work is expanding, and we are entering the workforce at a time where social workers are entering businesses, healthcare, and all other facets of society. We are not just nice people who like to help others. We are professionals who are looking to create positive social change for the general well-being of society. We have been educated on the importance of developing a trauma-informed and human rights perspective that will aid us in supporting the populations we work with. I also am so grateful to have served as your student body president for this academic year. So many of you took advantage of the numerous conferences, research studies, and advocacy events to showcase that education truly expands beyond the classroom. We are the next generation of social change agents, and moving forward, we should make an effort to stay connected as we'll be each other's colleagues, support systems, and professionals entering into this next season of our lives. Oh geez, the tassel. For those of us staying in the area, Buffalo is emerging and is a great place to start a career and to continue to make an impact on the communities that we've served. I want to leave you with a quote from one of my favorite literary classics, Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Congratulations to the class of 2019. We did it. It is with great pleasure that I now introduce my fellow graduate student officers in the School of Social Work. Mariah Mann, Vice President, Jeremiah Knowles, Treasurer, and Stephanie Hall, Secretary. Please join me in presenting this year's Faculty and Staff Awards.
Is it me? Or am I? Where is it? It's not there. Why can't I find it? I can't find it. One moment. Hold. Mariah's blind. Where is it, guys? Yeah, like, where is it?
It is teamwork.
Oh, here it is. Sorry about that. So, on behalf of the graduating class of 2019 and the GSA, we, the officers of the Graduate School of Social Work, present Rob Keefe with the Faculty of the Year Award. Hello. On behalf of the graduating class of 2019 and the GSA, we, the officers of the Graduate School of Social Work, present Elaine Hammond with the Adjunct Faculty of the Year Award.
On behalf of the graduating class of 2019 and the GSA, we, the officers of the Graduate School of Social Work, present Dana Horn with the Staff of the Year Award.
It is my pleasure to announce this year's Student Award recipients. They were honored in a separate ceremony earlier this week, and you can find a description of each award in your program. Will the awardees please stand as your name is called and remain standing? Please hold your applause until I've read all of the names for all of these outstanding students. The Andrew J. Laughlin Memorial Award, Molly Ritter. Angel McKnight Miller Memorial Award, Cheney Brockington. Archie W. Swanson Honorary Award, Sarah Spence. Bertha S. Lowry Thorn and Rose Award, Catherine Freeman. Deborah Zimmerman MSW 89 Award, Haley White. Dina P. Gold Memorial Award, Erin Baskug. The Dorothy L. Lynn Honorary Award, Epiphany McGee. The Dream Award, Jessica Watoyak and Erica Zambati. The Susan Nahowski and Jacqueline McGinley Excellent in Disability Practice Award, Pamela Siner. The Hazeltine T. Clements Memorial Award, Teresa Watson. The Julian Soja Memorial Award, Kelly Mercer. The Christopher L. Brazelton Memorial Award, Mariah Mann. The Louisa Seelan Award, Emily Shanahan. The Mary O'Donnell Memorial Scholarship Award, Clara Brown. The NASW Western Division of New York Award, Molly Ritter. Rose Weinstein Scholar Award, Danielle Cavarata. The School of Social Work Alumni Association Award, Alicia Pop. The School of Social Work Outstanding Student of the Year Award, Michael Shermatz. The Therese Usanio Memorial Scholarship, Whitney Maris. We congratulate each of you for your outstanding performance. You will note in your program an asterisk next to the names of graduates that have been inducted into the Rho Kappa chapter of the Phi Alpha National Social Work Honor Society. I would ask that the recent inductees please stand and be recognized. Thank you.
Will the candidates for the degree of the Master of Social Work please stand and remain at your seats? Provost Sikorsky, on behalf of the faculty of the university, I have the honor of recognizing these candidates. They've met all the requirements of the university and are recommended to you by the faculty for the Master of Social Work degree.
Thank you, Dean Smith. All right, folks, this is it. The serious moment. By the authority of the trustees and the chancellor of the State University of New York and the council and the faculty of the University at Buffalo, I now confer upon you the degree of Master of Social Work with all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining. You may now move your tassels from the right to the left. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the class of 2019.
I have to say I love all the wonderful creative hats out there. All right, well, the front row of graduates, please remain standing. Everyone else can be seated for a little while longer. Thank you.
Dr. Laura Lewis will read the names of the MSW graduates. Rita and Alina will provide an alumni welcome and UB pin to each graduate before leaving the stage. Professors Diane Elzy and Peter Sabota will hood the MSW candidates.
Michael Palazza. Mariah Jessica Mann. Jeremiah Knowles. Stephanie Giselle Hall. Brittany Marie Bell. Claire Spencer Cannon. Susan Chung Buyen. Louis Masonnet. Kayla Marie Smith. Ashley Mary Wagner. Lauren McVeigh. Annalisa Bianco. Priscilla Kabalamani. Kayla Lynn LaChance. Catherine Berndret. Eva Rose Gavin. Alyssa Kramer. Melissa Ann Kramer. Jamie Strobel. Emily Rose Victoria Avery. Rebecca Struwe. Amanda Moeller. Jordan Brown. Emily Shanahan. Kaylee Rizzo. Sierra Renee Samanka. Kaylee Ames. Emily Vichick. Andrea Sapp. Chelsea Canfield. Jose Rodriguez. Crystal Kim Copeland. Eugene Riley. Peter Gregory. L.B. Brock. Jacqueline Diaz Perez. Nicolette Lynn Marshall. Erica Bucci. Christina King. Jillian Ranney. Clara Eugenia Brown. Estella Marie Johnson. Hiral Amin Sharma. Sarah Jane Fortner. Andrew Carl. Christina Cerruti. Na Nguyen Po Sun Thaw. Faustina Palmatier. Andre Stokes. De'Ara Wilson. Amber Cordell. Nicholas Cheeves. Alexandra Barton. Megan Jewett. Kelly Mercer. Brandon Dofrain. Michelangelo Albanese. Jamie Nicole Copshow. Sarah Spence. Aaron Bazcug. Ainsley Evans. Nora O'Keefe. Kendall Elizabeth Krebs. Bridget Rosso. Caroline Curran. Jordan Michelle Kasanovich. Kennedy Young. Manar Castillo. Abigail Bailey. Scott Stoltz. Elizabeth Rusa. Isabel Enya Rowley. Alexandria Moranto. Nicolette Clayton. Rachel Stahl. Juliette Consignier. Teresa Watson. Courtney Anisi. Shannon Baer. Jenna Geneva. Jillian Renee Wagner. Alexandra Page Clark. Sarah Zinni. Rebecca Carlson. Jacinda Meekus. Danielle Ferguson. Allison Elizabeth Verstrate. Lindsay Zastany. Sarah Alicia Huerta Well. Juliana Stella. Abigail Squiccerini. Lydia Weinstein. Chelsea O'Hara. Haley White. Taylor Hildreth. Aurora Linforth. Krista Rejdos. Crystal Washburn. Kelsey Morano. Emily Wilkins. Jackson Marr. Alana Norman. Kelly McCormick. Devontae Oxendine. Amela Sotelli. Catherine Pandolfino. Shelby Elaine Spengler. Jessica Olivieri. Joshua Furjanik. Jessica Vikoviak. Natalie Resor. Erica Zambati. Lena Johnson Wynn. Carly Hathaway. Megan McCluskey. Jessica Rose Lorino. Chelsea Gray. Danielle DeLong. Kaisha Golden. Emily Jack. Jennifer Sue Schultz. Laura Moran. Rachel Schmidt. Cheney Brockington. Shauna Ray Joseph. Shauna Ray Kelsey. Jennifer Wysocki. Lauren Stevens. Ashley C. Airy. Emily Krugleach. Florette Marie Stevens. Samantha Nicole Davis. Emily McKean. Amber Rivera. Stephanie Eklund. Courtney Pellegrini. Madison Thee. Abby Lee Bird. Brittany Suzanne Annis. Erica Vertegen. Ashley Chanel Daniels. Alicia Daniels. Sarah Christine Jones. Shaquita Marie Wilson. Cynthia Del Carmen Villa Zumaya. Dale Winchell. William Walsh. Danielle Cavaretta. Vanessa Kroniach. Alyssa Swatkowski. Rebecca Ringholz. Caitlin Tachibana. Melissa Hextel. Veronica Lenhart. Michael Shermatz. Anika Wilcox. Starnasia Fatima Green. Gina McCarthy. Dennis Akpana. This concludes the hooding of the MSW students.
Thank you, Professors Elzy and Sabota. Will Dr. Shelley Kimmelberg, Director of Social Sciences Interdisciplinary Program in the College of Arts and Sciences, join Dr. Diane Elzy, Director of the MSW Program, for the hooding of the BA MSW students?
Morgan Bauer. Natalie Geisbush. Molly Ritter. Kristen Schumann. This concludes the hooding of the BA MSW students.
Thank you, Dr. Kimmelberg. Will Kimberly Kreitis, Director of MPH Initiatives in the School of Public Health and Health Professions, please join Dr. Diane Elsie for the hooding of the MPH MSW students?
Melissa Serena. This concludes the hooding of the MPH MSW student.
Thank you, Dr. Kreitis. Will Melinda Saran, Vice Dean for Social Justice Initiatives and Teaching Faculty from the Law School, please join Dr. Diane Elsie for the hooding of the JD MSW students?
Colette Antoinette Noel. Leanne Ramirez. This concludes the hooding of the JD MSW students.
Thank you, Provost Sikorsky, Dean Smith, Vice Dean Saran, Drs. Lewis and Elsie, and Ms. Andalina. We will now hood the candidates for the PhD in Social Welfare. Would Dr. Lena Beicheng, Associate Dean for Doctoral Programs, please join us on stage?
Will the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy from the School of Social Work, Thomas Chaco, Nurit Fisher-Shamer, Kathleen Knack, Carol Scott, and Asla Yellen, please stand.
Provost Sikorsky, on behalf of the faculty of the university, I have the honor of recognizing these candidates. They've met all the requirements of the university and are recommended to you by the faculty for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Thank you, Dean Smith. Small in number, great in scholarship. I'm now going to confer upon you your degrees. By the authority of the trustees and the Chancellor of the State University of New York, and the Council and the faculty at the University at Buffalo, I now confer upon each of you the Doctor of Philosophy degree with all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining. Congratulations. All right, so wait a minute, stay. You can now move your tassel from the right to the left. All right, now. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the class of 2019.
Will Dr. Thomas Choco please step forward? And will Drs. Cost and Keefe please step forward and stand with Dr. Choco? The title of Dr. Thomas Choco's dissertation is Post-Trauma Adaptations and Resilience Among Vietnam Combat Veterans. His chair was Dr. Kathleen Cost of the School of Social Work. His committee members were Dr. Robert Keefe of the School of Social Work and Dr. Kristen Gainey of the College of Arts and Sciences. Congratulations, Dr. Choco. Will Dr. Nurit Fisher-Schemmer please step forward? And will Dr. Kost and Nahaisky please step forward and stand with Dr. Fisher-Schemmer? The title of Dr. Nurit Fisher-Schemmer's dissertation is Multi-Generational Experiences, Adaptation, and Grief Among Holocaust Survivors' Offspring. Her chair was Dr. Deborah Waldrop of the School of Social Work. Her committee members were Dr. Barbara Rittner of the School of Social Work and Dr. Marianne Meeker of the School of Nursing. Congratulations, Dr. Fisher. Will Dr. Katie Knack please step forward? And Drs. Tom Nahaisky and Dana Horn, please step forward and stand with Dr. Knack. The title of Dr. Knack's dissertation is, Does Organizational Climate Mediate the Effects of Employee and Organizational Characteristics on Staff Attitudes Toward Inclusion? Her chair was Dr. Tom Nahaisky of the School of Social Work, and her committee members were Dr. Deborah Waldrop of the School of Social Work and Dr. Michael Rembus of the College of Arts and Sciences. Congratulations, Dr. Knack. And Tom. Here. Will Dr. Carol Scott please step forward? The title of Dr. Carol Scott's dissertation is Youth Social Media Use, Engagement, Frequency, and Consequences for Risk and Well-Being. Her chair was Dr. Tom Nahaisky of the School of Social Work, and I served as co-chair. Her other committee member was Dr. Lorraine Collins of the School of Public Health. Congratulations, Dr. Scott. Will Dr. Asla Yellen please step forward? And will Drs. Kim and Critelli please step forward and stand with Dr. Yellen? The title of Dr. Yellen's dissertation is Mental Health and Psychosocial Well-Being of Syrian Refugees, a Mixed Methods Study. Her chair was Dr. Isak Kim of the School of Social Work, and her committee members were Dr. Philomena Critelli of the School of Social Work and Dr. Deborah Reed Danahay of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Congratulations, Dr. Yellen.
We want to take a moment to recognize those family, friends, and loved ones who are unable to be with us today. In recognition of those who have passed, we have reserved a seat in the front row of the auditorium, marking it with a white ribbon. As a tribute to the graduates, it is my pleasure to introduce the members of the Niagara Frontier Brass Quintet. James Francisco on trumpet, Richard Goss on trumpet, Megan Marenka on French horn, Diana Blay on trombone and euphonium, Niles Denning on tuba. The quintet will play Moraes Rondo. Please rise as we listen to the first verse and refrain of the University of Buffalo's alma mater, sung by vocalist Zachary Carr. You will find the lyrics to the alma mater on page 14 of the commencement program.
The pride of our spirit and tradition, our alma mater's truth and name declare. Celebrate our history and wisdom. Oh, let us all prepare to sing her glory. To Buffalo, all hail to thee. Noble and strong, it's our university. To blue and white, pledge loyalty. Singing, I will always remember thee.
It is with great pleasure that I introduce Ms. Rita and Alina, Chair of the School of Social Work Alumni Association.
Good morning, everyone. This is always the best time of year for me, the energy in the room, and congratulations. I just want to welcome you to the greatest club that you're going to ever join, the University of Buffalo Alumni Association. UB is one of America's great public universities. Its mission of outreach to the community, the state, and the nation, as well as its international connections, is to meet the needs of society, much as social workers do. Your experiences and memories don't end when you leave campus. They live on through the UB Alumni Association. The UBAA is here for you, no matter what you need. In short, we've got the services, programs, events, volunteer opportunities, and more that benefit you, your fellow alumni, and the university community, no matter where you are. So, I say to you, good luck, best wishes, forever alumni, always UB, boldly Buffalo, and the best is go Bulls.
I would like to ask the guests and graduates to remain seated until the platform party has left the auditorium. I want to ask guests to remain seated until the graduates have left the auditorium. Then, please join us for a brief dessert reception in the atrium. I now declare this 2019 commencement of the University at Buffalo School of Social Work to be officially concluded.